What evil lurks in the dark? A question we have all asked ourselves many times. Together, we can start uncovering the truth and mystery behind the darker side of the otherworldly. And now your host of See You in the Dark, Michelle Roos.
Well, good evening to you all. I'm going to start by just sending out some really good positive vibes. The crazy thing is, I had this show and I put my description in. We're talking about some of these haunted locations, which we still will. But in the last couple of weeks, I have just been seeing things all over social media about just all sorts of what we could call paranormal drama, any type of drama. But it's gotten to the point where, it's getting to the point where it's actually threats and different things. You know, we say we're gonna talk about the darker side of the paranormal. Well, this one is gonna beat that. You know, we have all these super locations where we get to go and do these great events. You know, sometimes you get a lot of evidence, sometimes you don't. A lot of teams will have people with abilities, whether they're psychic mediums, sensitive, empathic, you know, and so they put all this in a collection of things that, we had evidence of. They start putting it on social media because, just like all of us, we're super excited if we do catch something from the other side. As for myself, with the abilities that I have, yes, I do see them and I can hear them and sometimes, smell some of the certain smells they want me to, have with my senses. But how do you explain that to someone who doesn't have those abilities? So you always want to have other evidence, whether it's the new things getting built, the lights going off, the EVPs we catch, maybe on the video cameras, getting the mists, the dark shadows. And sometimes, you have the physical evidence of someone being scratched or being pushed or touched. But what's happening in the field, because we're all in it to find evidence. I mean, and that goes across the board. That is people who are, you know, collecting scientific evidence of UFOs, cryptids, all different things. We're all trying to find out everything that we've been researching, is it actually there? Some people will go too far, and, there are people out there in all realms that will, kind of stretch the truth a little bit or show a little bit of false evidence. You know, shame on them. That's all I can say. But at the same time, it doesn't give us the right to start really trashing people and putting people down and making them, the worst people ever. Because at that point, if that's how they need to do something, then unfollow them or don't like something. But we've become a society with all this social media that when someone puts something really great out there, and I've tested this, a beautiful quote or just sending love to people or saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," get a couple of likes here and there. If I put something out there and say, "Did you hear?" and put something negative, it goes viral. And when you start dealing with things like that, especially in the paranormal field, it starts really messing with everybody that is trying to do the right thing. Like I said, for myself, these were answers I was searching for. I'm not searching for answers to make sure everybody gives me a high five and a clap and, hey, way to go. But these are for personal reasonings. And there's a lot of us out there like that. We all have different type of abilities. And I got to say, everyone does. We all have certain senses that will trigger when we're doing something to kind of let us know, hey, be careful. But I've been seeing more and more of people bashing people, but it's gotten to the point where it's threatening. I got to get on YouTube. I've got to get on, other social media platforms. And, when we talk about the darker side of things, we always say you have the good and then you have the negative. And I'm kind of feeling, after talking to someone just recently, like a couple of minutes ago to be exact, was saying, what about if the negative energy is starting to take over people? I didn't think of it that way because I'm just thinking these are mean people. But what if that is the case? And as we've been going on this journey of trying to find the answers to the other side, are we opening things up that we're not knowing? Are we getting, these negative energies coming through, acting like they're, human spirits that have lost their lives? Have we even been dealing with human spirits? Or have we all been getting played? So I'm going down this rabbit hole because one thing about negative energy is it can manipulate. It can change the way it is. It tries to bring a trust between you and that energy so this way it can start feeding off of you. And you can pick all this up at all these locations. We had a show, we talked about different types of protection, but how far does that protection actually work? Stop and think about that for a moment. Or are we just saying, hey, this protection works and it really isn't? Because the way things are going now in the world itself, it seems that everything runs on straight hatred. And that to me, if any word would fit to it, would be straight demonic. And is that because that's the way it's supposed to be right now? Because again, like I said, if you follow me on Facebook, you will see I put some great things out. I always try to be high energy, full of love, because that's who I really am. And I get a little click here, a little click there. But if I was to go on there tonight and say, can you believe this person, that team, this person, oh my God, they're thieves, they're this and that, it would just blow up. And that would be me just testing that. I'm watching a lot of these Facebook shows come out or podcasts or anything like that. And these are teams. These are people doing the same thing that I do, going out trying to find the answers. But they are making more views talking and, you know, putting people down. I mean, saying the most nastiest things. I can't believe that it people are drawn to that. So here we go. Is it real negative energy starting to control? We've always been told that the devil will show himself, but he's going to be in a masquerade. He's going to look like that ordinary person and is going to be able to steer everybody away. Now, remember, when we're talking demons, Satan himself, we're talking another realm. When we talk about this stuff, everybody believes completely about it. Everything. But then when we say, you know what, when I personally am looking for that protection and I call upon someone to take care of me, whether it's the angels or if I call, on Jesus, we cannot say that. But if I call everything demons, then I've got a whole train following behind me. So now we have to ask ourselves, are we really speaking to real spirits? Are these spirits really in these locations? A couple weekends ago was at a location, Edinburg Manor, and it's got a long history. It started off as a poor farm. It then became an asylum and then a nursing home. So you have all this different energy just swirling around in it. I mean, this place was open back when if husbands didn't like that their wives were talking too much, they would drive there in the middle of the night, drop the wives off because they thought they were crazy, and would take off and never come back. The same if you had any type of mental health issues, you were dropped off, they would never come back. So, do these spirits still feel trapped in this location? Or because of the anguish and everything they were feeling while they were there, did the negative feed off of them and then now mimics them when we're there investigating? I will tell you the last couple times I've been there, it has affected people. We had a group of people there. We were showing them the tubs where they would use to almost drown you, because if you had schizophrenia, they thought if they would get you to that edge and then bring you back up, then you'd be all okay. We put someone in there to see what they felt, and they kind of felt it, but we watched their eyes change. Now, again, you're probably sitting back going, yeah, that's BS. Well, I will tell you, it's straight watching somebody's eyes turn from a light color to almost black will bring shivers down your spine. We couldn't get that person out of the tub because they went limp. We literally had 3, 4 of us dragging this person out of that tub to get him outside. Now, this group, their big belief is in the Bible, in God. That's who they go to. We prayed. We prayed hard. And the person kept saying, no, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. We turn our back and all of a sudden try to beat up and put his own father in a headlock and trying to choke him to death. That group had to end up leaving to make sure that person was okay. Now, the whole time while we're talking and trying this experiment, we're telling them this is how these folks were treated when they were here. And so we're thinking regular human spirits that feel trapped. But when you see something like that, it does make you think, are we all chasing demons? Are we chasing the other side that's just dark? Have we been getting manipulated this whole time where everybody's in the field? Because every location that puts their location on any type of social media will say, we have nothing but good spirits here. But do they really? Do we know? So it's one of those that we have to sit back. And like I said, you think about it, but then you kind of shrug it off and you're like, you know, there's got to be both sides. And there is both sides. You have to have that balance. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, is it true? Are people going in and not being protected of enough? Or is our protection even working? And are we all starting to become our own zombies, walking straight ahead and following the wrong lane? And it doesn't matter what field you're in or what you're going after. I mean, you see it all over. But it's getting to the point where it's like, well, I gotta just say it. It's straight out disgusting. Because if I put all my beliefs out there, there's gonna be 800 people that'll say, I'm wrong. I need to follow theirs. And if I go and say, well, there is a lot of negative energy in a location or my team, We can't say that because then you'll be blacklisted and can't go. So, all this manipulation from spirit world to our regular world here, I mean, think about it. Which way are we supposed to go? I always thought that we all had our own paths and we all met in the middle, the crossroads. But lately, it's not like that. And it's getting worse and worse. And I can tell you this by experience. You know, somebody didn't like what I did or didn't like the way I did it. Well, let's throw out some bad rumors. Now, mind you, I'm not the type that falls for those. I don't go bashing back. I don't do that. I just keep going because I always think of it this way. If you're not paying my bills, I don't care what you say. But at the same time, people like myself or like people on these teams, we should be able to have a voice and come out and say, I was at this location. It is not full of light and love and unicorns and everything else. This place has got really bad negative energy, and you either let people know about it or not have it open. This one location, every time you go to it, you're getting scratched or pushed or messed with. Now, I don't know if what I see, it all looks like the dark to me. And I will promise you that I'm not a demon. Unless I don't eat, then maybe a little. But I think it's at this point where we really need to start thinking, have we been looking at this all wrong? Have we been looking at this as, well, let's keep our mouth closed, let's not say much, and just get what we get. But when you put it out there, you get bashed by everyone. I haven't met too many people that see things like I see them. And sometimes I think they have a hard time understanding that. And whether it's out of jealousy or out of fear or not understanding something, they want to come back at you. Well, I don't think this is real. I think that's fake. Or I think, you're just making this up. So you're constantly having to defend yourself, constantly having to defend what you do. Well, I fell in that kind of loop, thinking I constantly had to defend myself. I've been accredited with a lot of different types of certificates, diplomas, whatever you want to call them. But if it doesn't fit somebody's narrative, well, that can't be. Well, it is. And like I said, we were going to really talk about a lot of the locations today and stuff, but after seeing these things on a continuous basis and I've been through it myself, I think it's something we need to speak about. And it can be in your regular work either too. It doesn't have to be just in the paranormal field. It doesn't just have to be, in just a box. We all go through it one way or the other. And at what point do we all stand up and say, I'm going to go my way, you go your way? Because we're all going to end up meeting together at some point. Whether you believe or you don't believe, it's going to happen. Because in the afterlife, you're not going to have any choices. You're going where you need to go, and then you kind of go from there. So I always try to live my life on a positive note, which I can say gets harder and harder every day. And because it's not Thursday, I'm just going to let you guys know you can't throat punch anybody either. That's only on Thursdays. Just remember that. But Is the negative taking us all over? Because you can turn on the TV, you can turn everything on, everything is hate, everything is dark. So, what do we do with that? Do we change the way we are starting to investigate or looking for those answers and say, well, maybe we need to be looking at the darker side of things? And then, if we do get that light, then make that our evidence? Do we go in these places and say, I'm expecting all this bad stuff to happen to me first? And if something good happens, that's just a kudos? I understand some people say, we're playing with children, playing with this, but do you really know if you are? Because when you're dealing with negative energies, demons, gens, whatever you deal with, they can actually do anything they want. I mean, look at the story with the Sally house. I mean, everybody knows it. She thought she was dealing with a child, just to find out there was not a child there the whole time. So now we know there's an intelligent side of all this. If something that negative could make you think it's a child the whole time and even have a name just to get you to trust it before it shows its real self. The funny thing is, we can talk about it in the spirit world like that, but think about just regular our world here. It is the same type of characteristics that we do. You're so nice to get people to trust. You think everybody's your friend. You go above and beyond. You do what you can because you're that nice person, just to find out they took their mask off. And now you see their side. So you really have to think about it. It's kind of one of those, it's not different in any dimension. It all happens. But on the spirit world side, it's a little different because they know they're doing it. They want to do it. That's their goal. But for us to be able to sit back and even have an inkling of hate to throw out there, to sit and try to destroy people. I mean, destroy them in the worst ways ever, that you're messing with their psyche, their health, everything because of that. And actually feel like you're getting that pleasure of doing that. I have a hard time believing us as humans would have that much hatred in us to do that. And we can't blame everything on negative energy, but it does start make you wonder, does it have something to play? Is this the way we're all going to start doing that following? Our blinders on. I mean, I know of a couple who have been getting destroyed, I mean, on a continuous basis. And I got to give them kudos because they're still trying to keep their head up high. But when you're threatening and you're putting them down for something they do because they do want to help and give a voice to the spirits, that is the most disgusting thing I think anybody could do to anybody. So do we blame those people who are doing it? Think about that. And we'll be right back after these short messages.
Debbie Ziegelmeyer is an experienced diver, dive trainer, and UFO investigator who has researched sites around the world that have water-related UFO activity. We now know that even the Pentagon admits that there are unknown objects in the skies and underwater around the world. Debbie compiled an amazing book to catalog many of these sightings. The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, a reference guide to UFO, USO, water-related activity, has received rave reviews by UFO researchers and the public. The book is available at Amazon.com. This is Margie Kay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us number one on Paranormal Talk Radio.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from UnX Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
And welcome back. So, just before we went to have a little break, I had you guys just thinking about it, and I do want to apologize. Well, actually, I really don't. Because I thought tonight, when we were talking darker side of the paranormal, this is part of it. This is part of it's not always being in a dark location, hoping we're catching something. It's everything in a whole, you know. Where did it go from us trying to find evidence that the other side does exist. Now, don't get me wrong, I do know that there are spirits out there that come across that want to give messages and things like that. So I don't want you to think what we were talking about tonight that everything is just that way. But after it was mentioned this evening, I it just made my head start going, because I sometimes don't see that other side of that beautiful light or anything unless I'm helping spirit to cross, that maybe that has a lot to do with it. Like in general. I mean, you think we're all out there opening these portals or different vortexes because we're looking for answers. We're the type of people that we need answers. If we don't have an answer, we keep digging and digging and digging. Well, as we're doing that, what are we actually doing? Are we opening those portals bigger and bigger, and we're not able to control what's coming in and out of it? And it's all mixed up. I mean, I've always been taught that when our loved ones come to visit us, it's because it's free will. Now, we've all been given free will from the beginning. We're brought here to make decisions and think for ourselves. So I strongly do believe when we have relatives or loved ones that, come across, that it's free will that they're coming to visit and then they go back to where they came from. And I do believe there are probably a lot of spirits that are trapped that maybe don't know how to act. But I'm also thinking if it's energy based just like we are, if those spirits are trapped, can the negative energy that surrounds that same area start manipulating their energy source to either keep them pushed further back so it's not really them coming forth, or does it manipulate the energy source that they had? That's one to ponder on. Probably gonna have to go digging for that one too. But we always are going in, like I said, we all want answers. And we all have equipment, we have ourselves, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what are we dealing with? Who are we speaking to? Now, I know for myself what I do see. If it was a woman that was trapped in a bad relationship, I do see it in that sense. So I can guide that. But if that abuser is also a spirit there because he doesn't want to let go of her as spirit and his energy is so negative, does it start manipulating her energy where she's still, being oppressed? And so even though I see her that way and wants a release, is some of that negative energy also being pushed towards me? And this could be happening to all of us. And, especially people with abilities that are seeing, if you are seeing those children, are they being manipulated to help get you in? Because of all those unanswered questions, we should be looking at doing some of this stuff in different ways. What are those ways? I can't really tell you right now, but I can tell you I'm going to think about it and try to figure it out, but I'll still go in those dark places. I will still try to find those answers. And they might be something that you guys might not agree with, but that's okay because that's something we have free will. You don't have to agree what I see or how I'm finding it. And I will take whatever you say. We all are able to speak what our opinions are. And that's what we should be able to do because that's how we all learn. There might be something that somebody that's listening right now, Hey, Michelle, I know something that could maybe help you in that journey. Absolutely let me know. Are we leaving these places and saying, hey, everything is left behind? Because if these people are in some of these locations that's been trapped and they want to get away, how do we know really that they're staying in that location? It's not like we have them on a payroll to say, hey, talk to me every time I'm in there so I know it's you. So is some of that energy taken off with people when they're in and out of these places? Because you got to remember, the paranormal has always been around, but TV made it popular. So everybody is an investigator now. And you go into a location on a continuous basis, just having people in and out like on a conveyor belt. What do you think we're doing? Are we releasing all that negative energy? Is that what we're destined to do to begin with? Is this why we started going down that path? It's a little different when I'm helping people in their homes because you're focusing on that family. So, with that in mind, while you're going in, you're trying to make sure you're cleaning all that out. And then you do a different types of protection and you're more vigilant doing this. But when we go to a location and you're doing an event or you're doing a team thing, you're just going in balls to the walls. You know what I mean? You say we have our protection, but do we? So, what are we taking with us? What are we doing that would cause so many of these teams that have been out there be the way they are? Is it the 5 minutes of fame? Could be. Or is this really who they are and they've worked it so long that they finally had to take off that mask and show the true self? It's easy for us to blame everything, but at the same time, maybe we're all wearing a mask and we need to get in front of that mirror to take it off to find out, are we really being our true selves? Crazy, these are all the things that run in my head all the time because you're always trying to find that answer. And when you're walking in that darker side of it, you're kind of like, okay, what is real? What's not real? Everybody's got the zombie effect. Everybody's walking. As soon as you hear that little loud noise, everybody turns to see what's going on. And if one person goes on that, everybody goes. So, how do you stick out? Do you just continuously try to defend yourself? Do you give up? Even if you have a team that's behind you that says, this stuff is real, this is that, how much can a person take? And it's getting to the point where the whole paranormal field is crumbling. And just getting started of starting to really find certain little proofs of things, but yet we're spending so much time trying to defend ourselves. And then it's the ones that are really bad are the ones that are getting all, "Hey, that a pal. There you go." And it's kinda crazy that, we of being, loving people, that's why we're here, to not say, "This is wrong. This is not how it's supposed to be." Some people will say, "Oh, I feel like I'm possessed because I'm doing this stuff." Well, no. Quit giving the demons all the credit. We need to stand up and start looking at ourselves and figuring out, why are we here? You know, we there's questions always asked. Why did God put us here? And nobody can really answer that. But that's something you should think about, you know? Because when that negative energy starts coming at you, it'll tell you all sorts of false things. And you're going to believe that more because it makes more sense instead of trying to find out what the real answer is. And that is exactly what it's like in the paranormal field. I'm going to take the shortcut answer instead of looking deeper into it because I don't want to offend or get anybody mad at me because it'll go running rapid. I believe that as an investigator, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, we should stick to our guns, no matter what it is, and not worry about 50 million other people what they think. Because I think we're doing an injustice to ourselves. We're doing injustice to spirit because it takes a lot of energy for them to come out and talk to us. But I can't tell someone what they said because, oh my God, they're not going to believe it. And what are they going to do? And that is a big part of your protection, too. You think about it. Because if you stay with your true intentions of what you're doing, that is going to help with your protection. But if you're going in going, I'm protecting myself, and now I'm with some negative energy, but I can't tell anybody because they're not going to believe me because everybody thinks this place only has good spirits. What have you done? Your intentions have just crumbled. I believe that we actually do have the dark coming at us. I think it's coming more and more, and I think it's taken over because it seems like the more locations I go to, I'm seeing more of the darker side of things than I am the light. It used to be almost 50-50. And when I'm looking and searching for that glimmer of light, I'm not seeing it like I used to. And that has nothing to do with me, it's just the location itself. There's a lot of locations that is just to the point where you're like, "Okay, where am I walking into?" You know, we know that the moon and everything gives all these different energies and keeps different cycles going on too. Is the negative energies or the darker entities in these locations a lot stronger now than the ones of light? And if that's the case, we need to find out why. We need to figure out if they're having that much in the spirit world like we are having here, how do we balance that? Because pretty soon it's not going to be in balance. One is going to be over the other, and that can't work. So we need to kind of take our investigations to, another notch. Is it our energy that's causing this stuff when we're going in? Are we feeding these things? Because the more we talk negative, the more we're giving them energy. Is this something that we are doing as paranormal investigators as we're going in? Because when you do an event, you have so many people. You're talking, people are laughing, they're having a good time, but you don't know what those people are bringing in, and they don't know what's going on with you. So are all these energy bases clashing with each other and, manifesting their own little types of negative creatures in these places? I know we talk about historical preservation on a lot of these locations, and that's why a lot of people do this. I know we help do it. We give 50% of anything we make to those locations. So are we kind of feeding into that too? Or do we have location owners that need to finally come out and say, listen, yeah, we got good spirits here, but you need to be careful too because we have a lot of negative energy too, and there could be things that could happen. Just don't feed into it. And we can't feed into all that and then go out and say, well, we were at this place and yes, it has a really bad history, but you know what? It was all good. So now we just gave more. And I know I've kind of been all around tonight, but if you think about it, when I'm talking about rumors or lies or fabrications of different things, it all kind of plays together, all of it. And I'm not saying the people who do that might be, you know, oppressed with some kind of negative energy. I'm not putting that out there, but it's something to think about. Because as I'm thinking about us going into these locations and what we're doing with groups of people, what are we opening? What are we, getting all reveled up of right there? It's just like throwing a rock in, on the water, that ripple effect. Are we doing the same thing? These are like really big things to think about. Do we need to change the way we're doing the things we're doing? And with all the gadgets that we get that we do a paranormal investigation, if it lights up, we're all excited and everything else. But I have to believe that the negative energy is a lot stronger than spirit, the other spirit, human spirits are, that maybe we are all getting manipulated to a point. And the more we feed into it. And again, that's just like being on social media. We feed into that negative. You could put somebody on a whole bunch of shows to say, no, this is real. But it's harder to prove that than to listen to someone saying it's not. And I know we've all been through it. And like I said, it's not just in the paranormal field, it's in all, it goes across the board. But at some point, when do we take control? Just like you have to take control of your own life when you're in your home, even if you have paranormal activity, you still have to take control over it because it's your home. So do we do that in everything that we do? You can continue to grow and do what you want and feel like you're getting all this positivity coming your way, and then just takes one person to be jealous and say, "Nope, too many good things are happening to this person. I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to do that ripple effect." Let's say one bad thing, and all the good that you've done and all that positive energy, they try to suck out of you. And we're built to either really fight back or kind of cower down. Well, I got to tell you, that also happens in the spirit world. If negative energy that surrounds them, the light starts moving back because it's too much. Now, I don't know if they throw out rumors and stuff in spirit world. That would be kind of cool to see, though, or catch it on an EVP. But it's the same effect. Just some things to think about before we're closed tonight is when will we all take a stand and say enough's enough? It's time to start looking for the bigger light. Let's start finding that positive and quit feeding into the negative because we're giving them more attention than anything else. And maybe some of these locations won't have all those crawlers or the dark energies running around in the hallways, doorways. And maybe start going into some of these investigations knowing that that's there and let it prove to you that it isn't by seeing more light. And I can honestly say not one person's going to be able to come to me and say, "Oh, every location I've been to is all love and light." Because I will say BS. We got to quit being one-sided. We need to be part of that balance. And again, like I said, I wasn't just trying to go down this road tonight, but it has just been kind of eating at me for weeks that, what we're seeing on spirit side is actually happening on our side, and it's getting so bad. I mean, people are threatening, and we don't want that. And we don't want to threaten the spirit world either. And maybe we're their balance. Without us, you wouldn't have them. And so if we're disrupting our side, how's it disrupting their side? Just some things to really think about. And again, you can always get a hold of me on Messenger. You're probably thinking this girl is lost her damn mind, but I promise you I haven't. But if there's things that you do that you think would be great at an investigation to kind of bring that balance back, I would definitely, definitely love to hear that. And I want you to be 100% yourself. My mask is always off. You get what you see, and I want to be able to do that for you too. And maybe it's time that we do a flip. The paranormal field right now is so upside down. It is the craziest thing. I have never in my wildest dreams think that something like this would be going on. But I think it's also disrupting everything else. And if you ever want to come with me on an investigation or anything like that, let me know because I would love to learn from you if you're able to help me figure some different things out. I have an amazing team. They know what they're doing, but at the same time, like everything we else do, we become this whole thing that everything becomes a habit. So if there's somebody that's out there that would like to help us change that habit, I definitely am sending that invite out to you. And I also want you to remember and think about it that what can we do to change the narrative? What can we do to start being that voice for spirit that's actually the truth and not what we want the truth to be? And with that said, I want to thank you guys all for being with me tonight. And when I say I am sending you love and light, it is coming from my heart. When I invite you to send me messages, it is the truth. Will we ever all agree? Absolutely not. But I will always treat each and every one of you with total respect, and I would want that back for myself. And I just want to let all of you guys know that I will see you in the dark.